We're getting ready to embark Discovery Princess for a 7-night inside passage cruise in Alaska. Wow, this will be our 136th cruise in the last 20 years. So let's talk about it. Hey cruisers, welcome back to CruiseReport.com. Now today I want to talk to you a little bit about an upcoming cruise we have on Discovery Princess. Now this is Princess's newest ship. First of all, I want to start this video by thanking Viking Cruises for our Viking Mars cruise. As many of you know, if you've watched our recent videos, we did both test positive and contract COVID on that cruise, and were quarantined for 5 days. So we missed 5 days, or really 5 of the most beautiful days of that cruise. But nevertheless, Viking took good care of us while we were in quarantine. They did the best they could. And we're actually, honestly, it's been about 3 weeks. Honestly, we're just now starting to feel 100%. There are some lagging symptoms, you might say, fatigue and other things. But so anyway, we're back. I think we're back to 100%. And this weekend, we will be flying to Seattle, where we will spend 1 night prior to getting on the Discovery Princess. Now, as I've said in the past, we always like to fly into a city of embarkation, a port city, the day before, because you just never know what's going to happen with the airlines. We've had too many experiences where flights have been delayed or flights have been canceled. And rather than take the risk, we just like to go in the day before. It gives us a chance to kind of rest, and maybe we'll have a chance to walk around Seattle a little bit, see some of the sights there. And Seattle's a beautiful city. So anytime you have a chance to spend a day or two in a city of embarkation, which is an interesting city, I think you should take that opportunity. So before we get started, though, I would like to remind you, if you're passionate about cruising, please take a second to click that little subscribe button down below, and don't forget the notification bell. That way YouTube will let you know when we come out with new videos. Now, we're going to be doing a lot of video and photography on this trip. I'm actually taking my mirrorless camera, my Sony camera, with me to get some really good shots in Alaska. In fact, one of the excursions we're doing is a photography excursion, and I'll make sure to cover that in one of my future videos. So we're going to be doing a lot on Instagram and Facebook. It's usually easier to upload content to Instagram and Facebook than it is to YouTube on these cruise ships. As I'm sure you've heard if you watch any videos, my videos, Don's videos from Canada, Tony, everybody complains about the Wi-Fi on these cruise ships, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. It only seems to be getting worse because I think more and more people are using the Wi-Fi services on these ships, and they just don't have the bandwidth. So to be able to, I'm going to probably do a video on Wi-Fi, cruise ship Wi-Fi in the near future, but to expect to go on a ship today, especially a big ship like this, and to have that expectation that I'm just going to be able to upload a video from the ship is pretty unreasonable. That's an unreasonable expectation. I think they're good for email. Sometimes you can, I usually am able to upload photos or short reels to Instagram. So we'll be doing a lot of that. So if you're interested in following along throughout the day, we'll be posting photos, reels to Instagram, which also show up on our Facebook page. So I would invite you to subscribe and follow us on those platforms as well. Now, we did receive our medallions from Princess this last week. And even though mine still showed up as a ruby medallion, I think mine's supposed to be a platinum. So for some reason, I think there was some confusion on our status. But I actually am platinum with their Captain's Circle or Captain's Club. I can't remember. I get them confused between it and Celebrity. But I am a platinum level with Princess, and yet I still got the ruby medallion. So I'll check with them when I get on board and see if they can swap that out. You know, I want to have a little credibility when I get on the ship. So, but we did get the medallions, and for those of you that are familiar with Princess, you know this is kind of like your stateroom key, charge card, everything all in one. So to get access to the ship, to get into your stateroom, if you order drinks or any time you want to pay for something on the ship, you use this little medallion. And we did a cruise with Princess not quite a year ago on Majestic Princess, which is the same class of ship, but still quite a bit different than Discovery. And that was our first experience with the medallion. And I would have loved to have done a more in-depth review of this medallion class and medallion interface, you might say, but we really didn't have time. I think we were only on the ship for 2 or 3 days. So this time we'll have a full week, and I'm going to really dive into this medallion system, and I'm going to do a complete video talking about how this medallion works, what the benefits are. Is it a good thing, a bad thing? Is it easy to use, or is it just more complicated for those of you that are non-techies? So we will talk about that. Now, this cruise is a Seattle round trip. We fly into Seattle, we embark in Seattle, and we disembark in Seattle. However, we do have a stop in Victoria, Canada. Most of you know the law. If you sail out of and into a U.S. port, you have to make a stop in a foreign port. And that's why Princess stops in Victoria, British Columbia. Now, as far as the COVID testing rules go, my understanding is even though Princess has dropped much of their COVID pre-cruise testing, if you're going to a country that requires pre-cruise testing, you're still required to be tested according to that country's regulations. And for those of you probably aware, Canada is one of those countries. And I've heard a lot of people talk about this on the internet on different channels. And what has not been clarified to me is if we don't get tested, in other words, do we have to be tested if we don't plan on getting off the ship in Canada? Just because the ship is stopping in Victoria, what if we plan to just stay on board the ship? Do we still have to do the pre-cruise testing? And I have not heard that addressed. I do know that since Ricky and I did have or were tested positive for COVID and we're in what they call recovery, we did get a certificate from Viking showing that we had been tested positive and the date, and it's an official looking form that you can then show. And supposedly with that form, you're not supposed to have to get pre-cruise tested regardless of what the rules are, because the chances of a positive or a false positive are very high if you're within 90 days of having tested positive for COVID or recovered from COVID. So we have those certificates to show. I did clarify with my contact at Princess, and she said that's correct. If we have those certificates, we should not have to get tested. Of course, they still recommend that you be tested. But I think you do have to check in with the medical team at the port to show them this form. But I'm not sure if anybody out there knows the answer to that question. If you're on a cruise that makes a stop in Canada, but you don't plan on getting off the ship in Canada, do you still have to be tested? If you know the answer to that, please put it in the comments down below. That would be greatly appreciated. Now, part of what we're planning to do is we will be reviewing the ship in depth. As I said, we were on Majestic Princess, which is the same class of ship, but there's quite a bit of differences. Majestic Princess was originally laid out, and the interior spaces and things were laid out for the Chinese market. And then due to COVID, they ended up bringing Majestic Princess back over to the U.S. and doing sailings out of here. But you can see the influence all through Majestic Princess. A lot of the signs are in Chinese and English. There's a Chinese restaurant instead of Sabatini's. There's a noodle bar up at the pool area. In the sanctuary, there is no sanctuary. It's just kind of an enclosed space at the very front top deck or forward deck of the ship. So Discovery Princess is more of the traditional, you might say, royal class layout, where you do have a sanctuary, which we plan on going to. It's one of our favorite places on the ship, but we've always done it in warm weather. We're not exactly sure how they use the sanctuary in a place like Alaska, so we're excited to try that and see what that's like. We will be doing some dining reviews of Sabatini's, of the Crown Grill. There is a new gastropub we're going to be trying. We're also going to try out this ultimate balcony breakfast. I think that's what it's called. We've never done that before, so we're going to give that a try as well. So be watching for our Discovery Princess dining review video, which will be coming. Now, we will also be blogging from the ship with photos. I'll be writing a little bit each day about what we do every day, and you can find that on our website at CruiseReport.com. So we will have a special homepage for Discovery Princess, and you'll be able to click on the cruise blog and be able to see each day what we did that day. We have some excursions planned. One of them is a photography excursion where we go out into the wilderness, I guess, with this photographer, and we learn more about photography. I'm excited to do that. We also have a whale watching tour that we'll be doing in Juneau. Now, our cruise itinerary changed on this trip. We were supposed to go to Skagway, but because of some of the issues they've had in Skagway with the dock, I think there were some rock slides, and it's made one of the piers kind of unusable right now. So they've changed our itinerary, and we're no longer going to Skagway. Instead, we'll be going to Sitka. And we did have an opportunity to change our excursions. We were originally going to do an ATV, like a four-wheeler excursion in Skagway. And we said that we would like to do something similar to that in Sitka. Unfortunately, it apparently is already sold out. So hopefully we will be on a waiting list for that. And we're also going to be on a waiting list to try to get into the Chef's Table, to do a review of the Chef's Table. If you've never done a Chef's Table dining experience and you're a foodie, you're in for a real treat. So hopefully we'll be able to get into that Chef's Table one evening and review that for you as well. So if you've sailed on Discovery Princess, please put your comments down below. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, or if you're interested in Discovery Princess, please put in the comments what you'd like to know more about. So I make notes of these things, and I'll make sure to try to check on those things while we're on board the ship and include that either in my blog or my Instagram or our YouTube video review. So anyway, I want to thank you for joining me today. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you from Seattle and from Discovery Princess. Smooth sailing.